tell us about the treehouse, one of you. Start us
So
off.
I remember the treehouse in the Springville home, but I know that there were tree houses in Salt Lake City that we had to recreate in order to make Springville home, because it wasn't home enough until it had a tree house like the Salt Lake house.
So you tell us about the Salt Lake Treehouse, and then Marilee and I will add what we can remember. And Laurel, how did there come to be a treehouse in Salt Lake at the house? This was at 3119 South, 20th East,
which used to be a huge road, and we used to get in trouble all the time from, who was the crossing guard? Do you remember his name?
Sure.
If we crossed the street somewhere other than the crossing walk,
name.
because he was certain we were going to get run over and killed.
He
And
would
so to go
really
back
take
as
on
an
right.
adult, to go back as an adult, it's a little 2-lane road. Like, why was I so scared of this road?
He
I
would make
remember
us
standing
walk
there,
an
it's just
entire
like
block out of our
running
way
like
to come down
crazy
to
to
the
get across that
crosswalk.
road before you get killed.
Yep, even because we would walk to our piano lessons in church and stuff all the time at the other end of the block, but when he was on duty, we had to walk down to where he was, cross, and then go
Walk back
home.
Or hope he didn't see you.
Oh, yeah. And if he did see you, he would shake his finger at you.
Or you'd hear it the next day.
He would.
Yeah.
So the
Anyway.
treehouse.
But no, which treehouse we're talking
The
about?
one in the
Lake.
box elder tree in Salt Lake.
Well, I don't remember, only that there was one. So I don't know how it came about, but evidently that was a family project as well.
Yeah, I don't remember a Salt Lake treehouse.
Okay, what I remember of the Salt Lake Treehouse was it was David's treehouse, and it was basically like 4 boards, 2x4s. I don't know if he nailed them up without your help, or if you had, you set up the foundation and then he was supposed to. But it was just boards up in the tree, and then the flat area where you can climb up and sit on it. And Mom loves to tell the story that David would rent it out for $0.05 a day. That was his money-making proposition in the summertime, is he would rent out his treehouse for $0.05 a day. I remember an experience with a blind friend that I had in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. Her name was Michelle Folger. I guess clear till I was in 2nd grade, she was in my classes, and she came over to the house one day and she wanted to climb a tree. And of course there was nobody there to tell us that wasn't wise, so I stood on the bottom and shouted instructions to her while she climbed up. And of course in my childhood vision it was 10 feet off the ground. It was probably more like 5 or 6, I don't know. But I remember how excited she was when she was successful at getting into the treehouse by herself. That's with cool. Me just giving her verbal instructions. And like I said, I'm sure nobody knew what we were up to, or they'd have made us stop. But
That was the 70s. That kind of thing was allowed.
So I remember that about the Salt Lake Treehouse. But when we moved to Springville, I think Marilee was the instigator of the Springville Treehouse in Locust Tree.
I remember doing a lot of work on it. I remember the excitement was finding wood that could be used up there. And I think at one point we were covering it inch by inch with little pieces of lath, because that was all the wood that we had available.
Was it pulled down from the house?
Probably that we pulled out of
Yeah,
the house.
probably.
And
And then
down
later
walls.
on, I think we put an actual plywood floor down. But it was definitely a piecemeal effort for a long time till later. And I don't think there was any railing for a while.
Not for a while. It had the branch that went right up through the middle of it.
Mhm.
Kind of had to build around the center of
Yeah,
the
it was
tree.
like a wraparound porch. Awesome. They pay good money for those now.
They do.
There's Mom's next adventure. Her next money-making venture is she can build the tree house back up there and call it a bed and breakfast.
And Airbnb it out.
People pay good money to sleep in trees these
They
days.
do.
I was in the backyard just a week or 2 ago with somebody that was, I think he was a city employee, but he walked to the backyard and came back, headed to the street again. And he said, I remember climbing that tree. There was a treehouse up there, and he had memories of living that. I think he grew up in the neighborhood.
Probably one of the Roylance boys, huh?
I think it was, well, I'm not even sure now which where he fits in, but I was surprised, and somebody would remember that experience in the treehouse.
How long did it last? When did it come down?
When Dallin was about 10, because he was ticked about it, and I have it in Grandma and Grandpa's 25th anniversary wedding video we made. Dallin was telling about his favorite thing to do at Grandma's used to be going up in the treehouse, but now they've tooked it down or something like that. So it was up for a good long time. So
I just remember the wood 2x4s or something to that effect that were nailed to the tree to climb up into the treehouse.
And then you had to hug the main trunk and squish around and put your butt and your back on a sloping branch
To get
in
up
order
into
to
it,
push
you're right.
with your feet to get into the corner where you could get into the treehouse.
Yeah, so it was definitely a process to climb into it.
I don't know if I could have gotten Michelle into that one. I looked at the tree last night because I remembered there was a big post that the tree had kind of grown around. I'm sure it was probably like the stake that was stabilizing the tree when it was a sapling, but by the time we moved in, nobody had ever thought to move the post, and so the bark had started to grow around this post. And I went and looked last night when I was thinking about it, and you can't see the post anymore. So either Dad took it out somehow, or the tree has just enveloped it. So someday when the whole thing crashes in the middle of a storm
On a wedding.
during the wedding, and there's a post in the middle, we know what caused it, and we'll tell conference stories about, having a good solid foundation.
It's probably why it's still standing. The post is still holding it up.
I did notice last night how much it's grown.
It's
How
huge.
much the tree's grown.
It is huge. That is a feature in that yard. That is an
Big
amazing big
tree.
tree. Dad, the treehouse tree. Can you tell us the story of how that tree came to be in the backyard?
Well, the Meade family, if I can go back a minute, the Meades were living in Las Vegas area, and for some reason they wanted to contribute a tree, and so they came and planted that tree. I was thinking about them not long ago. It's time to tell them that that tree is still growing and doing well, and we enjoy it. It's been a good tree.
It seems like Orrin had memories of it coming to Springville in a bucket.
That's the story I'm
small
familiar
tree.
with.
But it's many, many, many feet high now.
Who knew?
It's gonna be.
It got mostly chopped down right before my wedding, and I remember Mom being really worried that it wouldn't fill in enough during the wedding, but it did. It was beautiful, but it was much cut back at that point by an arborist trying to save it, and he did a good job because it's been 33 years since I got married, and the tree is beautiful.
What will happen to that yard when that tree comes down?
I know, it's just like, okay.
We
how
better go
much
plant
longer?
a tree, you guys.
Huh?
We better go plant a tree.
We better.
Or more. Not with thorns on it this time.
That one
seed
doesn't have
pods.
thorns, does
Oh,
it?
yes, it does.
Oh,
And
it
seed
does
pods.
have seed pods.
Oh,
Tell us
yeah,
about
not the
seed
seed
pods,
pods.
Dad. What's your favorite thing to do in the spring when the snow melts?
Favorite thing?
The first
what?
thing you have to do in the springtime when the snow melts.
Oh. Well, you have to sweep and shovel the snow.
And all those seed pods.
How many truckloads of seed pods do you usually
Oh.
drive away?
Usually a pickup load or more.
So the year that you and Mom were in Africa on your mission, I just decided nobody can see, so I'm not going to do it until they all fall down. Do you want to know how many truckloads I took in one weekend? So I waited till the first weekend that the compost was open. It was 12 stomped on the
Truckloads.
truck, crushed them down 12 loads of pods.
So it's a good thing you can't count.
And I was really glad when you came home. I'm not doing that again. Supposedly that's every other year, but it's wow, that's a lot of pods.